times more likely to be killed by cops than white men.
They don't want us to succeed.
How much more do we have to take?
What's up, everyone? Another night, another block. So if you can see the bottom of the screen there, obviously I'm going to talk about Ricardo Munoz because tomorrow at 6 p.m. is the Candlelight vigil for Ricardo Miguel Munoz, who was a 27-year-old resident here of Lancaster City in Pennsylvania. And he had some mental health issues. He was schizophrenic. He lived with bipolar disorder, and he was having a mental health episode when he was killed by Lancaster City Police. And the city as a whole never really got the chance to grieve or mourn his death, basically because there were a lot of different things took place, but there were things that took place that kind of totally overshadowed Ricardo altogether. He was just used for talking points for things there on out, and so the family's viewpoints and the family's grievances were never really brought to light, and that was unfortunate, but hopefully this will actually turn around. The family is being very vulnerable to be strong enough to do this. It takes a lot. There is still ongoing things legally, and that adds added pressure onto things. There's a perception out there about Ricardo that is not true, that a lot of mainstream media has perpetuated, and it's unfair. That is part of why I'm here. I'm supposed to be, that outlet, that source that gives you the real, that tells you exactly what they're doing or not doing or what they're lying about. And when it comes to Ricardo, they lie and withhold a lot. And there will be Ricardo's sister there who will be speaking some information, not information, but information. She'll be telling you about the life of Ricardo and the things that he endured, the things that happened to him, so that you get an understanding, a better understanding of who he actually was and what the media and the city is trying to present him as, so that they can sweep this under the rug, knowing damn well that he was not guilty, he was a victim. And there were things that happened prior to his death that showcase that, but they won't talk about that. They won't talk about it in that light. And hopefully after tomorrow, that will change. Hopefully after tomorrow, people will want to know more about Ricardo and what his life was actually like, so they can have a better understanding and be more motivated to make more changes in our community as far as taking care of and helping and providing more and better resources and outlets for our folk that deal with mental illnesses and struggle and go from place to place, really not really understanding or fitting in, and dealing with yes, Arden, so much unknown, There's a lot, actually, I want to skip back there because you touch on something. There's a lot that people don't know about Ricardo Munoz and his story. There's a lot of things people have no clue and don't understand whatsoever. And for me personally, now I'm the host here, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but for me personally, it's frustrating because I want to say how I really feel, but some things aren't my place. I want to I want to do really bad things and I can't. Like that's how frustrating some of the things that I was made aware of actually are. Like he should not, none of that should have happened whatsoever. And the thing I do want to bring up and make aware of is stressing mental health illnesses, the stigmas and stereotypes surrounding them, and the need for more care and compassion for people with mental health illnesses, whether it's Alzheimer's or bipolar disorder or anxiety and depression, OCD, schizophrenia. There are different things in different folks, different chemicals lacking. And it's important that people understand that not everyone is the same. You can't gauge everyone the same. And Ricardo got picked on a lot from the time that he was really young up until his death. He got picked on and made fun of, not just because he had vitiligo, but also because of his mental illnesses. And as he got older, it progressed, and so he changed. And socially, that has impacts, but also when you already deal with mental health illnesses, it has a lot of impacts. And for myself, someone who does live with mental health illnesses, it does have an impact on your social life. It has an impact on your friends and your family and relationships. And there's a lot of things, and it's not my business to tell. Just because I've been personally involved with the family, I feel a responsibility to not run Ricardo's business without their consent. But there's a lot of things about his life um, that I feel are unfortunate, in the sense that I wish that I could have been his friend to help him get those kind of experiences that anyone would want to have in life, whether you have mental illnesses or you have disabilities. It does not matter. Everyone deserves to have a fulfilling life. And it's questionable off of opinion if Ricardo actually had that. He's not here to say, and that in itself is unfortunate. But we have the opportunity to come together and provide light energy, compassion, love, understanding, respect, um, and a real need for a sense of community to come together and be there for the Munoz family. They really need us. They really need and want to know that people are there for them, that they weren't forgotten, and they kind of have felt that way. It shouldn't be that way. I know many people that do care and want to be there and want to be there for them and are grieving just as much. I know people that are heavily personally tied to this because it heavily, deeply resonates with them. And there's been this disconnect, and we've got to let that disconnect go. We've got to reestablish those ties so that we can be a community. And this is the first start. This is the start of it, by showing up to this rally, this vigil. You can show that you're there for the Munoz family by showing up to this vigil at home. If you can't show up physically, doesn't matter where in the country you are, you can light a candle. Light a candle at 6, light a candle between 6 and 7:30, and take a picture or a video and hashtag Ricardo Munoz, hashtag Lancaster, post it on social media. If I find it, I will take a picture and post it as well on the Leon Block page, Facebook and YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I might post it on Twitter too. And I apologize for my Twitter viewers. I have not been on Twitter much lately to share some things. I've just been copying and pasting stuff that I've shared from Instagram. So you're basically getting a rehashed vision of what Instagram actually is posting right now. So I will be back to Twitter very soon. Do not worry. And the TikTok page has been kind of frozen in time. That will be back in business very soon. So do not worry about that. In the meantime, you can catch amazing content and extra content. Oh my goodness, there's so much content on YouTube. The YouTube page, that's the Leon Block channel for those who do not know. And of course, the Facebook page as well. But I do want to say that Elijah McClain, uh, Walter Wallace Jr., and Ricardo Munoz all have things in common, right? And the common denominator, or the end result, are police. Or policing, if you will. And that is also the awareness that I personally am hoping comes from this vigil, is to remind people that this is still happening. It happens, it happened, and we need to stay vigilant by standing together and being there for one another, being a community, really coming out and showing that we care, and that we're grieving together, that we care for the Munoz family and we're sorry for their loss, that we're sorry that the narrative was stolen and taken away from them and put up with and replaced with nothing but violence and bigotry and demeaning comments and behaviors that really took to slander his name. And that was extremely unfortunate. But we can turn that around. We can turn it around if we wanted to, and we have the opportunity to, by coming up and showing out for Ricardo. It's important. It is important to me. It's important to a lot of other people. But just for basic humanity and human rights, not even just for people of color, but for those with mental illnesses. And I know that this deeply resonates with me because I live with mental illnesses, but I know so many others that do as well. It's hard. It's hard. And seriously, we really just want to be heard. We just want to be understood as best as possible. And I know that that is easier said than done, but most people don't even try. They'd rather stigmatize. They'd rather shun you. They'd rather just not associate with you at all. And that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem that feeds this cycle. Don't you think? That's part of what causes further divisions. It's part of what helps fuel pain and despair, discomfort, and and people not wanting to be anymore. And for some people, they don't understand that because they've never had that feeling. They've never had that deep feeling of a hopelessness. But when you live in certain areas and you live with certain things in your mind, it is inescapable. You can't just flip a switch or just ignore it. It's there. It's like someone screaming in your in your ear, and you don't have headphones. I mean, even if you did have headphones, would you still want to sit there while someone's screaming in your ear? Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. I think it's important that we care for the people that are feeling like that. and do everything that we can to make sure that they are not going to continue to feel that way, or at least help to make that subside in some way as much as possible. We need to do more caring in our society, more compassion, more love, more respect. Tomorrow, you are going to find out. You're going to find out about the life of Ricardo. You're going to find out the life that he lived and what led up to the thing that happened that led to him no longer being here. You'll also get to hear a poem from me. I will be in attendance. I will be reciting a poem that I wrote from Ricardo's perspective. I will be speaking basically as if I am Ricardo. That took a lot for me to do. Um, but I have the blessing of the family, and I recited it to them. Um, and I hope that for people who do show up, that it speaks to whoever hears it as well, because Ricardo deserves to be heard. Ricardo's side of the story, Ricardo's story deserves to be heard. His entire story, and his family is going to do a great job of painting that picture for you, not to pity, not to show any kind of guilty or victimization, but to show you exactly just what was. What was. Not not what the media or the city or the mayor or performative activists have to say about Ricardo Munoz. Listen to what the family has to say. Listen to what Ricardo had to say. I really, deeply, sincerely, really hope that whoever is watching this is able to make it. It would really mean a lot to Ricardo, really mean a lot to his family to have as many people across the lands stand in solidarity with him as possible. So if you cannot make it, again, it's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Penn Square in Lancaster, PA, September 13th, which is later on today because it is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am. You can not make it. You can still light a candle at your home and hashtag Ricardo Munoz, hashtag Lancaster. That would be greatly appreciated, and it would go a long way to have prayers and blessings for the Ricardo Munoz family, and for Ricardo Munoz as well, and for the city of Lancaster, because everyone here is still grieving in some way, even whether they don't realize it or not. If they were experienced some of this or a part of this in some way, they've dealt with that trauma. And I mean, they're still dealing with that trauma. And so this hopefully again is the start of that healing process. So again, if you can't make it, please make it in spirit. Ricardo Munoz was born in 1993 in Nyack, New York, before they moved to Lancaster. Um, but he's from his family; they're all from Dominican Republic, and he was an introvert. He loved to play Xbox. Um, he was a lovable person, and for those close and to his family, like he was a dope dude that was just really, really lovable and really kind. He didn't like confrontation. There's a lot of good things about Ricardo that you don't know, and tomorrow you'll be able to find out. There's a lot of not so great things that happen to Ricardo that tomorrow you'll be able to find out. Only so to paint a picture of why it's so unfortunate and not fair that his life was taken and that he needed help and attention, not to be laid to rest. The mind is a powerful thing. Some people waste it. Others have it taken away. You don't want to be the one to have it taken away. And even so, if you have a hard time getting those thoughts, those things, those pains, those dilemmas, those frustrations, those fights in your head out, and then you're no longer here, well, that's really not fair. It's time to be there for Ricardo. It's time to be there for his family. Let's show love, y'all. Okay. Wow.